everyone, this is Eugene Roddenberry.
Dr. Mohammed Noor.
Adam Nimoy, Leonard Nimoy's son.
This is Leonard Crowfoot.
This is Dr. Aaron McDonald, Star Trek Science Advisor and Lieutenant Commander McDonald on Star Trek Prodigy.
And you're listening to
Humanist Trek.
Humanist Trek.
You're listening to Humanist Trek.
the Humanist Trek podcast.
And you're listening to Humanist Trek, a fabulous, fabulous show.
Enjoy.
And don't worry, you can do your Temporal Mechanics 101 homework later.
My voice is super raspy today. I don't know why, but
Have you been drinking milk?
no, I don't like milk.
Okay.
No, milk's nasty. It's weird
It
that we
is.
drink the breast milk of another animal. It's just fucking weird. We're the only species that does that. Nobody ever thinks about it. We're just like, oh, milk, it does a body good. And if you look at the history of milk, the reason like that it is so ubiquitous, it's in every school and we push it, is because during the Depression, the government was propping up the dairy farmers, the dairy industry, by like, let's create these programs to put milk in school and shit. But it's disgusting, and I digress.
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Welcome aboard.
Jean-Luc Picard to the starship Enterprise.
You want to review your rapid progress?
That nonsense is centuries behind us. To the starship Enterprise.
Oh, yeah?
That is enough, damn it!
Tempo, mon capitan.
To the starship Enterprise.
But you can't deny that you're still a dangerous, savage child race.
Of the planet Earth.
You just don't get it, do you, Jean-Luc? That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars and studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
Heldor Joy, and welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a comedy Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
And as this episode releases to you, we are in the first week of May. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Is it really?
It sure enough is.
Oh, well, that's appropriate for this episode.
Yeah, isn't that timely? Yeah, not like we planned it or anything, but I quite like it.
Yeah, totally didn't.
What day does this episode come out? Oh, this episode will release to non-patrons on my birthday. So happy birthday to me, everybody.
Happy birthday, Sarah. Woohoo!
I do not like to make a big deal out of my birthday.
Why? You should. You should.
I know.
You should get in the habit, because
You sound like my mom.
get in the habit, because when you're gonna die, you're gonna be like, man, I wish I had celebrated my birthday more.
I don't know. I don't know if I will or not, though. It's just another damn day. And when you say that, my mother would say, no, it's not. It's the day I brought you into this world, or some similar
Well, she
thing.
has the right to celebrate, as she pushed you out of her shenanay. So, okay.
But anyway, so my plan is I'm gonna go get my nails done because I don't ever do that anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm looking at getting a new tattoo. So
Yay!
we'll see how the finances work out, because as you know, things are bad generally,
Yeah.
but also like I feel that, and this is a mental health thing, I feel like sometimes you just have to spend money on something fun or nice or whatever, because the world is just burning to the ground around you, and
It's okay to want to feel good, and it's okay to take those steps to do it. So whatever it takes, I think.
Yeah,
I
I
there's
think so too.
no shame in it, and I'm excited for you.
But I can think of people, one of whom I worked with in Florida, who, would always talk about, oh, so-and-so on Facebook with their GoFundMe asking for this and that, but then they have this nice thing and they have that nice thing and they go out to eat at this nice restaurant or whatever. And it's such bullshit. It's such bullshit.
Let me tell you, people have been doing that to Black people for years, decades. Oh, she's on welfare. Well, and why are you spending this much on your nails and your hair? And I'm like, because, and nobody should have anything to say about it. Fuck them.
Yep, I agree.
Fuck everyone.
I'm Sarah Ray, and I endorse this message.
Make yourself happy. That's it.
Yes.
That's the message.
As we celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month, as we've talked on this show a million times. You've heard us rant about how poor our healthcare system, care in quotes, healthcare system in this country is, and how it rarely includes mental health, and when it does, it's still not easily accessible. So, some things that we want you to think about as you navigate your own mental health. I think one of the things I'm most proud about in the times that we live now versus the times that we grew up is that we're talking about it.
Oh yeah.
And when you talk about it, when you share your experiences, and this goes for any experience, but specifically mental health, then you connect with people who are going through similar things or have gone through similar things. I think about all the times growing up when I thought, oh, I felt some type of way or I was going through something and I thought nobody would understand. And so I didn't tell anybody about it. And, oh, I'm fine. It's all right. It'll be all right. And I felt like I was the only one in freshman year of high school, 8th grade, freshman year, going through a major depressive episode that led me to therapy and diagnoses. And, but I did it in an echo chamber. I did it in a box, and I didn't share it with anybody. And come to find out all these years later, man, we all go through that.
Everybody was going through it. Everyone, trust me, everyone was going through it. And yeah, because we didn't talk about it back then, and if we did, we were shamed for saying, "Oh, we've got a problem."
Yes.
But now we talk about it, and now we share experiences. We learn from each other on how to handle things, and we don't feel so alone.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the message that the National Alliance on Mental Health is putting out in Mental Health Awareness Month, that your story can not only help you, sharing your experiences and what you're going through can not only help you, you'll help somebody else who's also going through it and who might feel like they're all alone. And we can't just like hide our Bendai syndrome from everybody and pretend like everything's fine, because that's not healthy. That doesn't work.
Yeah. And thank you for your attention in this matter.
Boy, if only we had a ballroom, then we wouldn't have mental health problems, I think is the argument that's being made right now.
Big, beautiful gold ballroom that would solve everything. It would.
It would. Yeah, absolutely. My God. Well, strap in. It's time to discuss Star Trek: The Next Generation, Season 3, Episode 23, Sarek.
Commander, you'll soon be getting an intruder alert.
What? I got something, sir.
Intruder alert, sir.
It's an old-style starship, sir. Constellation class, heading this way under impulse comm.
Number one, kindly take charge of our guests until we have time to decide what we're going to do with them. Sir, number one, keep them out of my way.
This week, we're picking up a Federation ambassador, Sarek, of Spock's dad fame, and his human wife, Perrin. God, why did I think Amanda was still alive? When we talked about this in last week, I'm pretty sure I said Amanda.
No, maybe, but I mean, I knew Perrin. I guess
you had watched it more recently than I think.
Yeah, it was just in the background on, and I was like, oh, what happened to Amanda? And I suppose she died, and but he is like 200 years old now, so
yeah.
And you can't, expect a human woman's not gonna last that long. She's not gonna. First of all, she's not gonna put up with your shit for 200 years. So, yeah.
So the D will be hosting the first meeting between the Federation and the Ligarans, and Picard and Riker are walking down to the transporter room wearing my absolute favorite uniform of all time, the TNG dress uniform. I need one of these, and they don't sell them.
Scans with pants. I mean,
kinda,
yeah. Basically, yeah, but they don't sell them.
No,
nowhere,
you can get the
really.
scant, but you can't get the dress uniform. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find somebody on Etsy to make me one or something.
I need to learn how to use my fucking sewing machine and make one.
Yeah, you could be making us both all kinds of shit.
I know, I could be.
With what time?
I know.
Their conversation sort of lays the groundwork for anybody who found TNG but didn't watch the TOS or OG movies. Sarek is a fucking legend. He helped shape the Federation, brought adversaries to peace, and the rumor is he'll be retiring after this mission.
Picard is kind of fanboying
Mm-hmm.
really hard. He's like, yeah, I met him once at, I guess, Spock's wedding.
Yeah.
And he said he was grinning like an idiot, tongue-tied even. And Riker's like, I'd like to see that.
We've all been there, too, I think.
Oh, for sure.
You know, tongue-tied at a celebrity or something.
For sure. So, yeah, he's going to retire after this. And Picard's just like, what a crowning achievement. And the benefits of having the Lagarans join the Federation are incalculable, apparently. So the minute they go into the transporter room, 2 people beam in, a Vulcan and a shorter, stockier man who's obviously not a Vulcan.
Key Mendrosen, the ambassador's human chief of staff, played by William Dennis, who has only 10 credits. His credits include an episode of The Golden Girls, 2 episodes of Newhart, Growing Pains, and Perfect Strangers. You remember Perfect Strangers?
I love them.
Man.
Balky. Yes.
His final credit was a short appearance in a 1995 film called Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, which I feel like we should watch and review for Patreon or something.
I think
I've never heard of it.
I think so. Where would we find that show? Is it a
I
movie?
don't know. I'm sure you can
documentary?
download it in the pirate seas.
Searching.
It's an actual movie.
Yeah.
1995. It's got Andy Garcia, Christopher Walken, Steve Buscemi, Christopher Lloyd, Gabrielle Anwar, Treat Williams.
How have I never heard of this?
Williams Forsythe. So many names. You'll know everybody in here. Okay, yeah, we'll have to review it. It sounds like a comedy. Christopher Walken in it? It's got to be a comedy.
The other is a Vulcan male called Sakath, played by Italian-American actor Rocco Sisto, who was in the 2000 film Frequency, which I was big into for a while. That's the one where the kid, his dad was a firefighter and he died in a fire or something, and then they had this ham radio and they were able to communicate through time. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He did some episodes of CSI, Law and Order, JAG, NYPD Blue, and SVU. Maybe typecast a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
Picard is surprised that Ambassador Sarek is not on the transporter pad. And these guys are like, listen, JL, Sarek's an old dude. He needs a lot of naps and a jar of Werther's Originals on the table next to his recliner. But otherwise, we should probably dispense with the usual pomp and pageantry afforded to a man of his position. And Riker's like, but we went to all the trouble of programming Data to lead a Mozart recital for the ambassador tonight. And Mendrosen's like, well, that's just not going to happen. He can't attend. In fact, upon his arrival, he will be taken directly to quarters where he will eat Werther's and take naps in his recliner until we reach Ligara 4.
At least that's the plan. Anyway, Picard is like, well, we're not going to bother him. Fine. And then, okay. Mendroz is like, well, that's all we asked. That's settled. Well, here comes the ambassador. So they beam him and his wife in.
Star Trek fucking royalty, Mark Leonard as Sarek and Joanna Miles as Perrin. Joanna was in Judge Dredd, and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Wow.
And we may have talked about this in TOS, but of course, we know Mark Leonard as the Romulan commander in Star Trek The Original Series Season 1 episode Balance of Terror.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first actor to play a Klingon with forehead ridges as a Klingon captain in Star Trek The Motion Picture.
Mm-hmm.
And he played Sarek in the later Star Trek OG movies. And of course, he comes back again in TNG. Introductions made, and Perrin asks to be taken to their quarters, but Sarek insists on viewing the conference room first. And Mendrosen is like, yeah, we just made a big fuss out of you needing to rest a lot. We'll handle this. It'll be fine. But Sarek is like, no, I need to go see this myself. And he kind of leans into Picard and he's like, these guys are really kind of worried about me because, you know, I'm old and stuff. But, you know, they worry too much. So Riker leads him off as Picard gives a quick, like, well, this will be interesting look at O'Brien. And then I swear he breaks the fourth wall. Patrick turns directly to camera and stares into camera to theme.
Like in the distance, like that far off look that actors do. They just look in the distance, But yeah.
I met him once, many years ago, very briefly at his son's wedding. I can tell you that was quite a moment for a young lieutenant standing in the presence of such history. I remember he spoke to me, and I just stood there grinning like an idiot.
Captain, you tongue-tied.
Indeed.
They're in the conference room. Wesley and LaForge are getting ready for the Lagarans. And I looked it up because I was curious about the Lagarans because we don't actually see them in this episode.
Right.
And we don't see them again either. The Lagarans were strictly adherent to protocol. They liked living in a pool of like fucking goo. And they needed to have that goo maintained at 150 degrees Celsius. They didn't want any furniture and decorations and very low lighting. So Wesley and LaForge are in charge of making sure the conference room is ready. And so they brought in the jacuzzi and they filled it full of slimy goo.
It looked to me like melted rainbow sherbet.
Do you remember those shows where they would like throw goo on you? Like one of it must have been on Nickelodeon or something.
Oh yeah, Nickelodeon, the slime.
Yeah.
Oh, what Double Dare was one of those game show
those.
that they did that. Yeah.
And so this vat of goo, it was kind of like bubbling, and apparently it stinks. They were talking about the smell of it, and LaForge is like, well, whatever it is, it's home to them, even though it's slime to us. And they've got all the environmental controls ready. And Wesley's in a hurry to get out of there because he's got a date. And LaForge is like, with who? Apparently there's Ensign Dumont. And LaForge is surprised. And he's like, why? You're surprised she'd go out with me? And he said, no, he's just surprised that he had the nerve to ask her. So he gives him a handshake. The typical guy thing. You know.
Geordi says Ensign Dumont is a very attractive woman or whatever. He says she's very attractive, which makes me wonder because we know what people look like to him in the visor. So what is it about somebody's glow in the heat map of the visor that Geordi finds attractive? Like,
that's weird.
Right? Like, obviously he's not talking about traditional standards of beauty, which I think is super interesting. Like, how does he decide what he finds attractive
from
infrared?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sarek and the entourage come in, and right away, Sarek's like, this ain't right. Lose the furniture. The wall should be bare. And Mindrosen and Picard assure him that everything will be right, when the time comes. And even Perrin tries to soften this, but Sarek says he's worked 93 years preparing for this meeting, so everything has to be just perfect. And Saketh is like, okay, Gramps, time to get you back to the home and let these young men get back to their work. And on the way out, Sarek's like, yeah, well, these walls are too bright. He is just a crotchety old man.
Goodness. So on the bridge then, of course, Riker, Picard, and Troy have to like talk behind his back and gossip. And they're like, well, the way that Mindrosen described him, he expected to see a really frail old man. But Picard's like, well, I hope I'm like that when I'm 200 and some years old. But they were a little overprotective, weren't they?
And Picard admits he had a certain idea in his mind about how this whole thing was going to go down. He thought Sarek would regale them with stories from his incredible life, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Still, the concert will go on, although it's a shame that the guest of honor won't be attending. And Riker thinks the ambassador might enjoy a night out, and Troy suggests, well, maybe you should go invite his wife. And Picard thinks this is such a great idea that he gets up and leaves right then to go talk to her. So Picard drops by Casa Sarek, and Perrin answers the door and says that Sarek is taking a nap in his recliner. But Picard came to see her, and she's kind of delighted by this because nobody ever comes to see her.
Aww.
So they make some small talk about the quarters being comfortable and how they're pleased to learn that the negotiations would be held on the D. And Perrin says that Sarek has taken an interest in Picard's career and finds it satisfactory. And Picard's like, holy shit, that's high praise from a Vulcan.
Satisfactory. It would be an insult from just anyone else.
For sure.
And he says, I came to invite you to the Mozart recital this evening and your husband, if he's available. And he was not supposed to, he was just going to invite.
No.
He's
Exactly.
he's so disobedient. And she says it's a tempting offer, but she doesn't think that Sarek will be able to attend, but she'll ask him. And then Picard kind of leaves it at that and says, I hope to see you tonight. And then as he walks out, her face goes from immediately from like pleasure to worry, like a light switch as he walks away. So they're like hiding something.
So Picard leaves and Perrin goes into the bedroom to check on Sarek, and he's apparently been unable to nap in the recliner for quite some time now. This goes back and forth a couple of times, Perrin fussing over Sarek and Sarek downplaying his condition. Typical. Ain't that just like a man?
Mm-hmm. Nothing's wrong with me.
Back in the conference room, Geordi and Wes are still at work, and the tension between them very uncharacteristically starts to crank up, and Wes is like, hey man, can I go yet? Hot date, remember? And Geordi's like, you think you're going to get anywhere with Suzanne Dumont? And Wes is like, at least I won't be spending the night with a technical manual like some people.
Damn.
And Geordi's like, some people? Who you talking about? You'll get more action out of a good book than you'll get on this date. That's for damn sure. And Wes is like, well, at least I don't have to find my women on the holodeck like you and Broccoli.
And
Shit.
I'm like, Jesus Christ. And they're just, their voices they're yelling at each other at this point.
Yeah. We've never seen them like this. This is so out of character. And it almost seems like it's leading up to a Star Trek fight.
Mm-hmm. The voices just get higher and higher. Thankfully, Riker walks in, sees all this. He's like, what's wrong? Something wrong? And nobody wants to talk. And they're like, he's like, I asked you a question. And LaForge is like, nope. And then Wesley asks if he could be excused, and they're out. Riker again asks Geordi, is there anything you want to tell me? And LaForge says no.
Is that it? Can I get out of here now?
What's your hurry? You don't really think anything's gonna happen with Suzanne Dumont, do you?
At least I'm not spending the night with a good book like some people.
What's that supposed to mean?
Just what it sounds like.
Let me tell you something. You'd get more action out of a good book than you'll ever see on this date, I'll guarantee it. She's not gonna waste her time on someone like you.
Someone like me?
She's way out of your league.
Since when did you become an expert on women?
Compared to you, every male on this ship is an expert on women.
Well, at least I don't have to find my women on the holodeck.
What did you say?
You heard me.
Yeah, I heard you. Just what do you think is gonna
Something
stop?
wrong?
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of Star Trek Adventures from Modiphius. Your mission: explore the universe, command your crew, and boldly go where no one has gone before. From official miniatures and dice sets to rulebooks, gaming tiles, and story guides, adventure is only a warp jump away. Visit humanisttrek.com/Modiphius or click the link on our website and use code TREK for 10% off. Picard and Riker stroll into the concert hall as Data and the other musicians are tuning up, and Picard mentions that Worf put Ensign D'Amato on report, which is odd because he's been an exemplary officer. And as they sit next to Bev, Riker shares that he almost had to stop Geordi and Wes from killing each other. But before they can discuss this further, the doors open and Sarek, along with Perrin and the entourage, enter.
Oh, shit.
Highly unexpected, everyone stands up in respect, and Picard and Riker step forward to welcome them, still a little surprised. But Sarek says his wife suggested they attend. Thought it might be a good diversion. And adds that she can be quite logical when she chooses, which would be an insult coming from anybody else, too.
They're so shady.
Mm-hmm.
Data's the soloist for this evening, so Data comes up and he says, I've been programmed to reproduce individual music styles of over 300 concert violinists, including Heifetz, Menuhin, Grakte, and Tartaglia.
Nailed it.
And he asks if they have a preference, and Perrin says Tartaglia would be lovely. So off he goes to the stage, and they all take their seat.
This was interesting to me. So the ambassador and the company sit in the front row.
Mm-hmm.
And just behind them, but left to right, Troy, Bev, Picard, and Riker.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting choice not to sit Riker and Troy together, I thought. Wouldn't it?
Why?
Picard and Bev should be together, and Riker and Troy should be together, even though they're not technically couples.
Technically, they're not a couple.
That's how I would have staged them. Anyway, the lights dim, and the quartet begins playing. TNG is where my love of classical music really took off.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I'm not a scholar by any stretch of the imagination, but I do enjoy the music. I remember having a music history and appreciation class in 7th or 8th grade that I absolutely loved. That, I came from a very diverse family of music.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather would sit in the recliner.
You stuck on the recliner.
I am. My grandfather would sit in one of those old metal folding chairs out in the front yard under the tree and listen to jazz, big band, swing on the AM radio. So I kind of picked that up from him. My mom loves oldies. My dad listened to country music. My sisters are 10 and 11 years older than me or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up with their 80s music. And then, of course, I had my own stuff in the 90s. And so I developed a very vast appreciation for all different styles of music. And then I think TNG is really kind of where classical entered that for me. And my favorite, I'm not a scholar. I just enjoy the music. But when we get to the one where Picard has another love interest, and I can't remember the name of the episode, but she plays the piano and he plays the flute that he gets in that one episode. And
then not really, because they're not his hands. Is that the episode?
Right. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I hope that's our question.
She would not be that obvious. Surely.
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, they play Bach's Third Brandenburg, and Picard listens to it several times too during the series, and that's one of my favorites. Anyway, and I'm not high this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. They do a nice little montage of the playing that's happening on stage with all the different violins and cellos and everything. And then we get lots of shots of first Sarek's face, and then we see down the line, Saketh leans forward suddenly and stares pointedly at Sarek. And then behind them, they show Troy's face as it's like she senses something's going on, but she doesn't know. We don't know what. And then Saketh leans over to whisper something to Mendrosen, and they're watching Sarek intensely, and then a tear falls down Sarek's cheek. His wife, Perrin, wipes it away, but then they all suddenly get up and leave in the middle of the concert.
And it seems like Picard and Troy are the only ones that really noticed something was going on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, Beverly is in her office drinking some tea and looking uncharacteristically PISS.
Write that down too. She was like, why is she pissed?
I'm so glad you added that to my vocabulary. And Wes comes in and she is up his ass about not being at the concert last night because Picard was asking where he was and that put her on the spot. And he's like, well, Suzanne wanted to make out in a 57 Chevy on the holodeck. And besides, it wasn't an official function. What's your deal? She tells him, listen, boy, you have responsibilities to live up to. And Wes is like, don't you think you're overreacting? And he tries to walk away and she smacks him across the face.
Jesus, and poor kid. But then they smash cut to Troy's office where Crusher, of course, immediately feels guilty. She's like, I don't know what came over me. I just slapped Wesley really hard. I've never hit him in my life.
And Troy is like, she's trying to get to the bottom of this. Do you know why you hit him? What were you thinking at the time? Were you provoked? Did Wes say or do something? And Bev just says it was a sudden burst of anger. And she's still shocked that she actually slapped her son. But
Yeah, white people don't get beat. White kids don't get beat.
not anymore.
They-
It used
they-
to, but not anymore.
They get stand in the corner or timeout. They don't get slapped.
Yep. Troy thinks this is all very important because over the past couple of days, she's heard very similar stories from 10 other people.
Curiouser and curiouser. On the bridge, I guess Data is giving Saketh a little bit of a tour. He's showing him the bridge, and it's normally occupied by Captain Picard and Commander Riker and Counselor Troy. And then they talk about Counselor Troy. Oh, she's a Betazoid. Half Betazoid, Data corrects him. Her father was human. And so Saketh, in the shady Vulcan way, oh, so she's not a true telepath. Fucking shady ass Vulcans. Data says, no, her skills are empathic in nature. She is able to sense the emotions of other beings.
I felt like he was trying to suss out whether or not they needed to worry about Troy being able to figure out what's going on.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But then he starts asking, okay, what's Picard's background in diplomacy? And then of course Data answers truthfully. He's got an extensive background in diplomacy. And he starts to go into all of his credentials, but then Saketh cuts him off and he's like, well, what's his knowledge of the Lagarans? Would he be able to conduct negotiations with them should the need arise? And of course, Data's like, do you see the need arising? And then Saketh just does not answer the question and kind of excuses himself. He was just exploring possible permutations of the mission.
Mm-hmm. Over in 10 Forward, O'Brien and some engineers leave the bar with their drinks, headed for a table, when some blue shirts sit down, and O'Brien's like, excuse me, we were sitting here. And the blue shirt says, well, we're sitting here now. And O'Brien says, come on, fella, this is our table. And the blue shirt says, don't call me fella, buddy. And O'Brien says, don't call me buddy, guy. And the blue shirt says, don't call me guy, friend. And O'Brien says, don't call me friend, fella.
I'm not your buddy, friend. He's not your friend, guy. I'm not your guy, buddy. He's not your buddy, friend. I'm not your friend, guy.
Nice. Oh my goodness. It's like, I don't see your name on it. And then didn't your mama teach you manners? And it was like, what? Are we in third grade? LaForge comes in though and says, whoa, is there some kind of problem here? You know?
There's plenty of tables. You go sit somewhere else. It's fine. It's all right.
O'Brien's like, it's mine. It's my table. But LaForge is like, let me just buy everybody drinks.
Yeah. Seems like maybe Geordi has diffused the situation, but out in the hallway, Riker's talking to Worf about that Ensign Diamato situation, and Worf says he directly challenged my authority, so he's written him up for insubordination or something, and Riker's like, is it me, or have tempers become a little frayed on this ship lately? And as Worf says, I hadn't noticed the doors to 10 Forward open, and there is a total fucking WWE SmackDown bar fight in progress. Everybody was Star Trek fighting.
Hoo! Ha! I died laughing. People getting thrown across the room, tables smashing. Everybody's just it's an all-out fucking brawl.
This reminded me a lot of, do you remember the time that Scotty got into the bar fight with the Klingons because they said the Enterprise was a garbage scow or whatever? That's what this reminded me of. It's like a stunt performer convention in there.
Totally. So Worf's like, yeah, I see what you mean. And he goes over. Geordi's being strangled by two people. He's in the middle. And of course, Worf knocks one of them the fuck out and calls the security team. And of course, Riker's like, what's going on here? And the Forge is like, I don't know. But Riker goes and tries to break up a fight because somebody gets thrown against him. And he's like, that's enough. But then somebody fucking uppercuts him and knocks him out too. It was so much fun. I loved it.
Yep.
Is it my imagination, or have tempers become a little frayed on the ship lately?
I hadn't noticed. I see what you mean.
The fight has ended and people are cleaning up the wreckage. Crusher tends to Geordi and then joins Picard, Riker, and Troy by the bar to discuss. This was not an isolated incident, but Crusher doesn't see any evidence of like bacteria or virus in the water, or replicators, air, nothing. And of course, Picard's like, great, we're having another naked time during the worst possible moment. And he orders Sarek's quarters isolated so that he isn't affected. But Crusher points out this all started at almost the exact moment he came on board the ship.
They take the conversation into Crusher's office because she got some stuff to tell them. She has a working theory that Ambassador Sarek himself is responsible for the incidents. And Troy did confirm, yeah, she's like, I did feel something during the concert, something really vague and undefined, but really disturbing. And then Picard says, yeah, I saw him cry. And that doesn't happen. Vulcans don't cry. But then Troy says, Vulcans still have feelings. They do. They just repress it. Can you imagine 200 years of repressing your feelings?
Oh my gosh, no. No, I feel like it's inevitable that you're going to explode at some point.
But she felt like during the concert, she got the sense that he'd lost control.
Well, I guess they do have Ponfar every 7 years, which is kind of a primal, emotional fuckfest.
Well, is Ponfar, that's sexual. That's just sexual, though.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I did try to get that on my license plate. I could. Somebody already had it.
Oh, damn.
I know.
Right?
I really wanted that one. But I'm okay.
Whoever that is needs to be our friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something else that annoys the hell out of me, they call this a working theory, which is actually a hypothesis. This is something we've talked about many times before, but if you're just joining us, pop culture misusing the word theory, which means that the body of science points to this being the most likely thing. So pop culture misusing the word theory has contributed to the broader public's misunderstanding of things like the theory of evolution, for example. How many times have you heard a deeply religious person say, oh, it's only a theory? That's not what that word means.
They didn't listen in school.
Right. And science fiction misusing it is just fucking lazy. Thanks for coming to our TED Talk. Anyway.
Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's my favorite thing to say, and it's because of this one guy on social media that does everyday posts about the current political leaders. Anyway.
So, yes, Troy reminds us Vulcans do have emotions. They just learn to repress them. And what she felt at the concert was that he had lost control. So this leads Crusher to Bendai syndrome, which is a very rare condition affecting Vulcans over 200 years old. Early symptoms include sudden bursts of emotion, irrational anger, and eventually all emotional control is lost. And Picard's like, damn, that sounds like a Vulcan's worst nightmare, but how could this affect others on the ship? So Troy explains that because of Vulcan's telepathic abilities, Sarek may be projecting intense emotions onto other people randomly and may not even know that he's doing it. And when the Ligarans come on board, it might affect them too. And Picard's like, well, is there a treatment?
For over 2 centuries, your mind has been impeccable, logical, precise, unshakable. But Bendai syndrome can change everything.
I feel things.
If you're a Vulcan experiencing unexpected emotional surges, intrusive thoughts, or an overwhelming urge to monologue dramatically, ask your physician about Serenitol. Serenitol is a once-daily neural stabilizer designed to help restore emotional control in Vulcans with Bendai syndrome.
Fascinating.
In clinical trials conducted on Vulcans aged 200 to 250, Serenitol helped reduce emotional leakage, improve telepathic boundaries, and restore inner harmony. Serenitol works by gently rebalancing neural pathways so you can return to the clarity and logic you've cultivated for a lifetime.
I no longer weep during chess.
Serenitol may not be right for everyone. Do not take Serenitol if you are currently experiencing Ponfar, are bonded in a Katra transfer, or have recently mind melded with an unstable Betazoid. Side effects may include mild tingling, temporary sarcasm, vivid dreams involving Captain Kirk, and an increased appreciation for jazz. In rare cases, users reported spontaneous eyebrow elevation lasting more than 4 hours. If this occurs, seek medical attention or simply lean into it. Ask your physician if Serenitol is right for you. Serenitol, because even in a chaotic universe, your mind should remain your own. Oh my God.
Unfortunately, Sarek's insurance doesn't cover Serenitol, and Picard just can't take over the negotiations because Sarek has developed a personal relationship with these aliens and says they will accept no one else. The only way to confirm this hypothesis, not theory, about Bendai syndrome would be to test some tissue from Sarek's metathalamus, but that would take several days, and we only have 12 hours.
In the ready room, Picard has gathered Mendrosen, and he's submitted the idea that, we might want to delay the conference. And Mendrosen's like, absolutely not. Not for a day, not for an hour. It's taken us 3 months to get here, so there's no way. Mendrosen's like, the ambassador's in perfect health. I guess he's told him basically, everyone on board's going crazy and we don't want this to affect the negotiations. But Mendrosen's like, your theory is full of holes. I'm not affected by Sarek's supposed condition. So they're basically saying there's nothing wrong with Sarek.
Mm-hmm.
Perrin's fine. How could his wife function normally if this is actually true? And Picard doesn't have an explanation. And Mendrosen's like, you're accusing the greatest man of his time losing his mind. He's like, I'm not going to tell the ambassador about this, what you're saying about him, and you're smearing his name, basically. But if I were you, I'd be very concerned about finding out the real cause of these outbursts before the Logarans arrive. And then Picard calls in Data, but they don't really show the conversation.
Instead, we go right to Data in the conference room chatting with Saketh because Picard doesn't believe Mendrosen's claims about Sarek's health. Data asks Saketh directly if he believes Sarek is capable of completing the mission, and rather than answer directly, Saketh says, have I given you cause to think otherwise? Of course he has. That whole line of questioning on the bridge earlier about Picard's diplomatic abilities and Troy too, Saketh only says that he is honor-bound to help Sarek with this mission.
Mm-hmm.
So Data says, well, then you must decide which is your greater obligation, your loyalty to Sarek or your duty to the Federation. Can you accept the logic of continuing this mission?
Ooh.
And Saketh says, tell your captain the mission is in jeopardy. That's some fucking old school Star Trek logic problem, and I love it.
Yeah. And he had to say it. Like he couldn't fucking lie anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And Data was the perfect one to go, make that argument.
Mm-hmm. In this episode, he is the most logical right now.
So Data goes back to the bridge and reports that this whole time, Saketh has been using his own telepathic abilities to reinforce Sarek's emotional control, but the strain of this mission has made it all but impossible for Saketh to keep up. And Picard speaks the humanist theme of this week's adventure in humanity.
Yeah.
It's ironic, isn't it? All this magnificent technology, and we find ourselves still susceptible to the ravages of old age. The loss of dignity, the slow betrayal of our bodies by forces we cannot master. And then he asks Data, you sure you want to be one of us? And Data points out that, even though he's not human, something similar might happen to him. In time, the circuits and pathways will age and degrade.
Data's a great question, though, about humans that don't make any sense is he says, why would such a man choose to ignore the symptoms of Bendai syndrome? And they're so apparent, why would you ignore it? And
Yeah.
we've been asking that for ages of humans. We do that all the time. We don't want to admit it.
Yep. And interesting here, I think it's that Sarek is such a logical person because of being a Vulcan that, maybe we could understand why humans would do that, but
Yeah.
a Vulcan? Come on. But that just shows you how far this condition has affected him,
Mm-hmm.
that he's not willing to admit it.
Yeah. But also, as Picard points out, the people around him are protecting him from the knowledge of it. So they're like, you've got Saketh, like suppressing, trying to control his emotions. So maybe he doesn't even know.
Yeah. Riker's like, well, somebody's got to confront him, and quickly puts his finger to the tip of his nose. And Picard's like, damn it, Bill. Ugh, fine, but I'm not looking forward to it. And then Riker accuses him of protecting Sarek too. And Picard's like, what do you want me to do? March down there and crush the old man? And things start heading south fast as Picard and Riker start yelling at each other now until Data finally interrupts them. And they're both like, oh shit, what was that?
Yeah. It's like they have no control of their emotions and they can't even see it happening until somebody points it out that they're about to go into fisticuffs. Picard goes to see Perrin again, and he confronts her, and she's like, I don't think I understand what you're telling me. You're saying that my husband is responsible for your crew's outbursts? Picard says he's very ill, and she's denying it. She's like, Bendai syndrome isn't even necessarily real. There hasn't been a true case of it in my husband's lifetime. But Picard says, well, I think Saketh knows. And she's like, no, he doesn't know anything. He's just a low-level Vulcan. He doesn't know anything that my husband didn't teach him. And Picard's like, oh, he knows. And more than that, he's been the one trying to hold his mind together. And she's just deny. But as he goes to try to tell them, she's like, no, wait, you can't do this. Like, she knows. She fucking knew. She has to know. So here comes Sarek and Saketh and Mendrosen. Because they've heard the last part of the conversation. He's like, what? Must not do what? If Picard wants to see me, he can.
Someone has to confront him.
A task that I'm looking forward to.
I don't understand this. Everyone is protecting Sarek, his wife, Mendrosen, even you.
What will you have me do? March down there and destroy the man?
The mission with the Legarans cannot be carried out with Sarek in this condition.
I know that.
Then tell him that there is no way.
Don't you tell me what to do!
Captain, Commander.
Mendrosen tries to get Picard to speak in private, but Sarek takes control of the conversation. You were saying you think I have Bendai syndrome? I've been accused of a lot of things in my time, but never an excess of emotion. How dare you? Perrin just wants to drop the whole thing completely, but Sarek says he wants to assure everyone that he is capable of completing this mission and willingly offers to be tested for Bendai syndrome immediately. But again, the results wouldn't be ready for days, so Picard again asks to postpone the conference. Sarek says that's a terrible idea, and again promises, you have my word, I'm in perfect health. And Picard's like, oh yeah, then why has this guy been helping you control your emotions? And Sarek's like, you've been what? And Saketh doesn't answer, but Mendrosen jumps in. That's not true. Sarek asks Perrin if she knew about this, and she doesn't speak. So he turns back to Saketh, and Saketh admits that he's been using his limited abilities to help Sarek. And Sarek becomes furious, yelling at Saketh, your efforts will no longer be required. And Saketh is like, oh, that would not be a good idea. And Sarek says, well, it may not be wise, but it is necessary. And Saketh nods and leaves the room, and Sarek asks everyone else to leave too. He wants to speak with Picard in private.
Get out! Everybody, get out! Picard hopes that he hasn't embarrassed him, and Sarek says, well, I'm a Vulcan. I'm not affected by emotional considerations, but Picard begs to differ. And he tells him, there's an epidemic of violent outbursts happening on the Enterprise, and it's worsening as we speak. And Sarek's like, you think I am, responsible for this? And based on what Dr. Crusher says, and she's looked at everything else, it's got to be you. It's you, man. It's got to be you.
What I like about this conversation, argument, whatever it is that you can see Sarek trying to use logic to argue against what Picard is claiming. And he's saying Picard's logic is weak, but in reality, what's actually happening is the other way around.
Yeah. It's his logic that's weak now.
Yeah. Picard's like, we think it's you. And Sarek's like, well, starships encounter shit like this at least 2 or 3 times a season. And Picard says, well, this all started the moment you arrived, but that's just a coincidence, Sarek says. Is that all you have? It's coincidences? Coinky-dinks?
Coinky-dinks.
How about this? Your wife and chief of staff have been isolating you. They're just over-emotional humans. Okay, then what about Saketh? Surely he isn't emotional. Wow, he's just a child, young and inexperienced. Throughout this whole logic fight, though, Sarek becomes more and more emotional, which is in direct opposition of the argument he's trying to make. And finally, Picard's like, yeah, well, what about how we all saw you cry at the concert? And that just lights Sarek off. And I have to say, I just love these two actors in a scene together.
So good.
They're brilliant. Sarek starts off the whole argument. Sarek starts off strong, confidently refuting Picard's arguments with logic. But as they progress, that crosses over and it flips. And now Sarek is kind of on his back foot, so to speak. And Picard is just landing like one logical punch after another. Sarek's like, well, it was only one tear. But even admitting that is admitting that he was emotional at the music. And Picard lands a solid point with, is it logical for a Vulcan to cry? Sarek starts making excuses. It was late. I was tired. And besides, the Ligerans only trust me. I must be allowed to complete this mission. There is no other logical solutions. Picard's like, no other logical solutions? Allow me to quote one Sarek of Vulcan. There are always other solutions. You have said that many times in your life. So now Sarek is backed into the corner as Picard closes. Sarek of Vulcan would never be afraid of looking straight at something he did not want to see. Sarek of Vulcan never confused what he wanted with the truth. And Sarek is very emotional now, yelling, I will not be spoken to in this manner. And Picard's like, wow, guy, you seem pretty angry right now for a Vulcan.
Angry? Why are you yelling?
I saw you crying. I did not cry. I was there. I saw the tears.
You exaggerate, Captain. I recall only one tear.
So you were emotionally affected by the music?
That is not possible.
You still haven't answered my question, Sarek. Is it logical for a Vulcan to cry?
They got 3 hours before they're scheduled to meet with the Ligeran delegation. But obviously, Sarek is in no condition to proceed with the conference. So they're back in the ready room, and Riker is like, well, should we just have Worf contact the ambassador of the Ligerans? And no, Picard's like, I'll do it. I should be the one to tell them personally. And it's important that they understand our reasons for canceling the negotiations. But then the doorbell rings and Perrin comes in. And Riker excuses himself off to the bridge. Perrin says that Sarek is resting, but she asks him to reconsider his position and not postpone the negotiations. He's given the Federation a lifetime of service, and just let him have this last thing. Let him keep the respect he's earned, because I feel like this is going to look bad on him. And this is his last negotiation. And then she does say that they never wanted to deceive him, but it came on so gradually that they started to delude themselves. And I think that's kind of what happens with dementia and Alzheimer's and kind of stuff like that. It's like you see it, but you kind of put it off.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just nothing serious, but it was serious. They were just deluding themselves. And they just wanted him to complete this last thing. So she's asking Picard to help him regain his pride and his honor. And Picard's like, there's nothing I can do. But Perrin has an idea, and apparently the mission can be saved, and he needs Picard's help to do it. But they don't say what it is until the next scene.
Cut to the conference room where Picard has just suggested a mind meld, and Sarek is like, okay, now who's out of their damn mind? That's super dangerous. But Picard has weighed the needs of the many against the needs of the few or the one and decided it's a risk he's willing to take. So the idea here is that they would mind meld, and Sarek would take on Picard's stability and control in order to conclude the treaty negotiations. But during those few hours, Picard would take on Sarek's emotional loss of control. Sarek warns this would overwhelm Picard. He would be unable to control it as a human, especially. The mind melt can be a terrible intimacy. I cannot allow it.
Ooh.
Picard says, well, I'm aware of the risks, and besides, it's the only logical solution.
Hit him with the logic bomb again.
So in Picard's quarters, with the lights dimmed, Crusher is unsuccessfully trying to talk him out of this when Sarek arrives. And Dr. Crusher will be there to monitor their responses, and having her there also kind of puts Picard at ease too. So they sit down at a small table. Sarek places his hand to Picard's face. His eyes close, and Sarek starts, my mind to your mind, okay?
Our minds are one, okay? Our thoughts are one, okay?
I was hoping you would do that.
And then suddenly Picard's eyes shoot open as the link is established.
And then they cut to the bridge where Data announces to Riker that the Lagarans are ready to beam aboard. And then Sarek comes in all dignified and stable. And he's like, number one, please inform the Lagaran delegation that Sarek of Vulcan is on his way to welcome them. So he just looks great and fine.
And I love this, that the mind meld has carried over the Picard mannerisms, that Sarek is calling him number one now. I love that, that choice. That was so great.
So it's almost like they switched personas a little bit, but But he's still Sarek, but with Picard, with some Picard flair.
Yeah, exactly. And it happens again. Riker accompanies Sarek to the transporter room, and they check in about the mind meld, and he asks if Picard is all right. And again, Sarek says, don't worry, number one. Then Riker asks about the ambassador, and Sarek says he is himself again, and it's been a long time. So he's feeling good, but back in Picard's quarters, Picard is losing it.
He is batshit, basically. Oh man, this just is a testament to Patrick Stewart's acting, because I just was in agony for him.
Yeah.
Because there's a war going on in his mind, and you can easily see it. He's like, no, it's wrong. A lifetime of discipline washed away, and it's place bedlam. And then I'm so old, and there's nothing left but dry bones and dead friends. And he's just anguished at this, and Crusher's there to calm him, or try to calm him anyway. But he's disgusted by the weakness. I hates it. I hates the pressures. You know what I mean? He's just ranting and raving. Where's my logic? I'm betrayed by my desires. I want to feel everything. But then wait, I'm Vulcan. I must not feel anything. I want my control back. Jeez, it was a lot.
Yeah, and then Crusher tries again to pull him back, but he starts talking now about love emotions. Perrin, Amanda, and Spock all get name checked. No, what's her name from Discovery? The anguish of the man, the despair pouring out of him, all of those feelings, the regrets, I can't stop them. And then he falls into Crusher's arms, sobbing. Jesus Christ.
So good, though. God. And he's like, I can't stop them. And she's like, don't try. Just let it go.
And there's something that we all need to hear, huh? Sometimes you just need to cry, and that's okay.
I always tell people to cry. Like, don't stop. Don't suppress what you're feeling. That's where you get in trouble. Like when people pass away,
Yeah.
I'm like, go feel what you're gonna feel. Stop worrying about being strong because death is hard. Cry because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what it's there for.
Yep.
Even when you're feeling bad, cry because that's the reason have this weird ability. We don't know why we cry. You know what I mean? We don't know why tears happen. Like physically, we don't know why we cry. It's just a physical reaction to emotion, whether it's happy, sad, or whatever. Don't suppress it. Cry
Yep.
whenever you need to cry, and don't be ashamed of it. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Riker records a log. Ambassador Sarek was successful with the Ligerans, and the USS Merrimack has arrived to Uber him and his posse back to Vulcan. So now, back in their dress uniforms, Picard and Riker are in the transporter room with Perrin, Mindrosin, and Saketh, and Picard wishes them safe travels. Saketh says now that this conference is off his mind, he should be able to help Sarek keep it together until they get back to Vulcan. But unfortunately, the effects of Bendai syndrome are irreversible, despite continuing medical research. Perrin thanks Picard, and he tells her that Sarek loves her very much, and she says she knows. She's always known. Then Sarek enters and says, "I will take my leave of you now, Captain. I do not think we shall meet again." And Picard says, "I hope you're wrong, Ambassador." Sarek explains they will each retain the best part of the other inside them, and Picard says he thinks he got the best part of that deal. And then Picard, as if to further illustrate that they are connected in this way forever now, Picard initiates the greeting, holding his hand up in a Vulcan salute and saying peace and long life. And Sarek responds, "Live long and prosper." They take their places on the transporter pad. Sarek reaches out to hold Perrin's hand, and the way they beam away.
That's so brilliant that writers like put those things in. And some people wouldn't normally notice, but the what you had pointed out earlier about Sarek calling him number one and taking on Picard's mannerisms.
Yeah.
And then that simple gesture of him taking her hand. And that's so brilliant. Brilliant, excellently written, excellently acted. So good.
And off to the next adventure.
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with.
I'll be glad to be relieved of this cargo.
Me too.
It is done, and perhaps just as well.
Yeah, but I learned something today.
I sincerely hope that this is the last time that I find myself here.
You just don't get it, do you, Jean-Luc? You see, of all the species, yours cannot abide stagnation. Change is at the heart of what you are. That is the exploration that awaits you. Not mapping stars and studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
What a great fucking episode this is.
I know. Gosh.
I love the topic of aging. I love that we used Sarek to explore it.
The strongest mind that you will encounter is a Vulcan.
The most stoic character in the whole damn Star Trek universe.
Yeah. And then you see the vulnerability of it and the what aging does to anyone, making you vulnerable and like how you no longer have control. That's scary, like to anyone.
Yeah. And Picard points that out in that line about all this technology we have, and yet we're still susceptible to the ravages of old age, the loss of dignity, the slow betrayal of our bodies by forces we cannot master. But he also tells Perrin that Sarek will never lose his dignity. And I think that's something that we lose sight of as we go through this process. If we're lucky, if you consider having a long life lucky, we'll all end up in diapers and lose our cognitive and physical abilities. That's just another one of those we are more alike than we are different kind of things.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're poor and living on the streets or knocking down the east wing of the White House. It doesn't matter your race, nationality, gender, religious beliefs, political affiliation. We all end up shitting ourselves again in the end.
Yeah. It's just a matter of how many people around do we have to change our diaper versus, you know what I mean?
Yeah. the access to care that you have in old age. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then it's not a direct one-to-one correlation, but we talked a little bit about like dementia and Alzheimer's
Mm-hmm.
and how this is, really talking about those conditions in humans.
And also about the people, how it affects the people around them.
Yeah.
We all try to, like, we're in denial. Like, whenever you have a family member, it's hard for the person to watch the person you love
Yeah.
lose it.
Yes. Yes.
And then you're in denial, and that's the worst thing you can do is be in denial and not face it. And also hide it from the person.
Yeah. Yeah. The way Perrin talked about, like, we all knew it. We were all in on it. But it developed so slowly that it was easy to delude ourselves. And that made me think a lot about the way my mother talked after my dad passed, which was, now hindsight being what it is.
Yeah.
Now I see all of these signs that, he wasn't well and he hadn't been well for a really long time. But it creeps up on you gradually and slowly, and you don't notice it, and you think, well, this is just, another pill that we're going to go get from the doctor and that'll fix it, but then that causes some other thing, and then you get a different pill for that, and like you're just taking the one challenge at a time, and you kind of miss the forest for the trees while you're doing that. But the hindsight then of being able to look back and go, God, the signs were there for so long.
Do you think it's harder to see it when you're so close to them as opposed to, like, if I don't see someone for a long time and then I see them suddenly, I can easily spot the differences. But when you are with someone day to day, it's just harder to
Definitely.
see it.
Definitely.
The ultimate empathy thing is Picard choosing to mind meld with him and taking on his emotional distress, knowing what it could, knowing what it was going to be, like turmoil in his own head, and just to give him one last opportunity to walk out in a blaze of glory. That's just so selfless, amazing, and I'd do that.
Yeah,
I'd do that
because
for a friend.
I feel like he did that for dual reasons. One, yes, because this mission was important and we need the Ligerans for whatever, but then also to preserve the dignity of this man that he's admired since, he was a lieutenant or whatever, like,
Yeah.
Finally, one thing I read that I thought was super interesting, and maybe now we need to all go back and watch it again with this filter. Michael Piller said that as this episode was coming together, they were also watching Gene Roddenberry start to decline. In the behind-the-scenes retrospective, Star Trek The Next Generation, The Continuing Mission, Piller said, quote, "What I remember most about the episode, however, is that in a very real way, it reflected what was going on with the show at the time we wrote it. Gene was beginning to go into decline. Not that he was completely uncommunicative, but it was clear that he was not the same man that he had been. We all respected him so much, and he had been such an important, strong leader of the franchise and everything it stood for. But here is this great man, and I've only known him for less than a year at this point. Here is this great man going into decline, and I immediately felt a strong connection to the premise of Sarek, because I could see that it really was about the universe that we live in on a daily basis.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at Sarek closely, what that character is Gene Roddenberry."
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why it was so good, because it was as true to life as you can get for them, for the writers. I might have a tear.
We can handle all the pleasantries later. Now, let's get down to business.
I am willing to pay handsomely for you. I think you've had a little too much to drink.
Now, what do you know about my money?
Your money?
The money he stole!
You stole his money?
Those vouchers I gave you were every bit as good as Latinum.
You can spend Latinum almost anywhere. Those vouchers are only good at your bar.
And as always, we want to thank everyone who supports the show, but a special thank you to our founding admirals. A thank you to Ali, Peter, Sarah D, Bruce, The Bear and Cured Podcast, and some call him Tim. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate your support.
Patreon just changed a thing in their the way their site works.
Mhm.
So if you are not following us on Patreon, you can do so as a free member also, and still get access to the episodes when they release on Thursdays. You just don't get them early and you don't get the bonus content, but you can still follow us there. And the way the new system works is it's almost like a social media, and Patreon is trying to combat the issue of, you know, where do you build your audience? Where do you find your listeners? And if it's, well, you have to rely on Facebook and Twitter, and we've canceled all of those. Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram. I don't have any of that anymore. TikTok, gone for political reasons, you know, trying to infuse our values into the business decisions that are made by the, you know, whatever. But now Patreon is helping connect fans of shows to and artists and all the things that people use Patreon for into a feed that you would get like on your home page that shows you things that you might be interested in based on who you follow. So
Cool.
that's a thing to check out too.
Nice.
Patreon.com/Humanist Trek.
Captain, Starfleet Academy is requesting an update on our estimated arrival.
Finalists, please take your seats.
I must admit you have a very fast mind. Once I realized it was a trick question, there was only one answer.
Although only one student will be chosen for the Academy, any of you could easily qualify. Candidates, good luck.
You got called to the superintendent's office. It's a story I'd like to hear.
Beck is back now with the answer to this week's Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge question for Sarek. Please, again, remind us the question.
The script originally involved another ambassador, but writers decided to use Sarek. What was their reasoning behind this decision?
And remind us of our answers, please.
Sarah's guess was they wanted to use a character the fans were already familiar with. And Allie's was it had something to do with Trek canon.
Wrong.
I had an opportunity to show the captain my superior capabilities, and I failed. I can never recover from that.
Okay, what's the right answer?
They wanted to highlight that the idea that even the greatest of men can be subject to mental illness.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And it was a great episode.
It's such a great episode. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Next time on Humanist Trek, we'll review Star Trek The Next Generation Season 3, Episode 24, Menage a Troy. Fun little play on words there with menage a trois.
It has to be sexual. It's got to be something relationships. I don't know.
This is totally that's what we said when we did our like season preview. Riker and Troy's shore leave on Beta Z is interrupted when they are unexpectedly joined by Deanna's mother, Roxana.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They're on a date and she crashes, and I don't remember anything else about the episode.
Me either. I don't remember why or what she's doing there.
What's our question for Menage a Troy?
Who wrote this episode? And what reason did the director have to be nervous during filming?
Oh, well then the writer had to be somebody of great importance.
Who wrote the episode?
Yeah. Was this like
Did Frakes?
old school TOS? Was it DC Fontana? Was it
Frakes? Because I know he started directing the episode before, like a few episodes prior to this. But was he a writer? He didn't write.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. What about Majel? She's in it. Is
Ooh.
she right?
I don't know.
See, I'm thinking it's like Star Trek royalty,
Mhm.
like DC Fontana. And if you're the director of a DC Fontana script, you're like, oh, fuck.
I can't mess this up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
But it could have been any of those old writers too, you know. But she's the only one I can think of, so I'm going with DC Fontana for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree because I don't know that Major wrote anything.
Was Gene still kicking at this time? No, he was out, right? When did he die?
91. He died in 91.
Oh, well then he'd still be alive at this point.
Maybe
That would be
maybe he wrote
That would
it.
be a reason to be super fucking nervous.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say Gene. It could be DC or Gene. Like you said.
Gene Kuhn is one of the other
Oh.
old school TOS writers.
Oh goodness. Ugh.
I know, right? I don't think Roddenberry was that involved at this point in the series. I think he was slipping away and had let things go. I'm still going with DC Fontana. Final
So
answer.
you said that why were the producers uneasy?
Why was the director
uneasy when filming?
You're directing somebody's script that made you uneasy.
Was it the subject matter? Do you remember what happened? Was there anything that happened?
No.
Specific? All right, maybe you're right. I think I'll go with you and say DC Fontana also.
All right, and if you want to take a shot at this one, you know how to do that. Head out to your social media, share this episode with your answer and the hashtag Starfleet Challenge. We'll pick us out a winner, and next time we'll discuss Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 3, Episode 24, Menage a Troy.
It's a good day to die.
Beverly?
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcasts. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Trek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com. Humanist Trek is a production of Sarah Austin Media.